Hi guys, with me today is Patrick Nix from Chalkbox Productions. How you doing, Patrick?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, Mark.
Oh, you're so welcome. Look, I've been looking forward to this interview for so long because you are doing some really great stuff out there for pool, and not just for pool, but certain people that play pool. So I want to get right into that. I've got a few questions of my own that I want to ask you later about your favourite game and that kind of stuff, and your favourite cloth, your favourite. I want to even ask you about how you feel about Fedor Gorst playing for the US. That's going to come up later. But first of all, we just had a little chat before we came live. Tell us about Chalkbox Promotions, how it started, and what you've got coming up next.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. So Chalkbox Productions is a live stream platform that I developed about 2 years ago to really promote the sport and grow the sport in our area here in the Pacific Northwest. We're kind of out here in the corner of the country, but we have a fantastic pool community. And I really started it up after being on a live stream myself. I was on Ship the Cash from Mike DeMarco, and I competed in the 9 ball event there. And it was so much fun. I enjoyed it so much that I wanted to give others that experience to really be on the live stream, under the cameras, under the pressure, to compete in the sport because it adds so much excitement to it. So I started up a live stream out of my house, and we have one-on-one and teams matchups and Scotch doubles matchups and different things here on my 9 foot diamond. And it's just been a lot of fun.
I wondered if that was a real table or whether it was just a fake background like mine is here. Look, but I did go out of my
I
way.
I love the background, Mark. Thank you for the plug. But no, this is real. This is where the players come in and play. We have basically a commentating studio. There's a window behind me over here where we commentate behind. So we're actually, uh, we actually have like a commentating booth that's outside the room that we can see in. It's a really nice setup.
Wow, that sounds amazing. Now you mentioned Mike DeMarco. Probably, if it wasn't for Mike, I might not be sitting here now talking to you, because like you, during COVID, everyone was on the ghost games and the online challenges and stuff like that, and of course they needed commentary. And I was doing some with a Filipino company, then with an Italian company called Sharpshooter, who were organising like online challenge money matches kind of things. Much like you, they had a table in the house. They were playing break, and you run the table until you miss, and then you score how many points, blah blah blah, that kind of stuff.
Right.
And then I got heard by Mike DeMarco, and he had a challenge match coming up between Billy Thorpe, Sky Woodward, Roberto Gomez, and Danny Olson. Oh, and Chris Reinhold. He was Chris Robinson at the time, but later became Chris Reinhold. And I was invited to commentate on that. And then through that, I met Joey Ryan. I'm not sure if you know Joey Ryan from Dogging It podcast.
Oh, Joey Ryan. Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so he was on there commentating. He had to put up with me. And then, anyway, long story short, from there I got spotted and people wanted me, and from then on I ended up with Predator and so on. So just wanted to say we've got a lot of in common because we both started, I guess, through Mike DeMarco, right? So take us on a bit from COVID. So how's it gone?
It's gone really well. So, one of the things that I've noticed is I didn't expect, it started off with just, a few friends coming over and us live streaming the matches, and it just grew from there. I branded it, got the logo, but, what I've noticed is that it's an opportunity to really promote, certain things in the pool community and nonprofits, and that's really kind of expanded us into really helping out in areas like for our upcoming Veterans Day event that we're going to be doing.
Okay, and tell us more about that. I know you're doing a lot non-profit, as you just said. How do people go about playing in it? Where do the players come from? Where is it shown? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, so we're on Facebook and YouTube currently. Chalkbox Productions YouTube channel or Facebook page. You can go to either and watch the videos, or we usually go live. When we record, we go live on both channels. The way that the players get on the show is, well, they reach out to me for one, and they let me know that they're interested in playing. We also do have raffles where you can win a spot on the show, which we'll be raffling off on the Veterans Day event. But yeah, this upcoming Veterans Day, we did last year. I thought we have so many pool players that are in the military, and I thought it would be cool to do something special and have branches of the military competing in a teams event. And so that's what we decided to do. We did Army versus Navy last year because that was, we have a lot of Army and Navy personnel here in the area because that's the bases that we have here in Western Washington. And it was so much fun. We raised a lot of money for a nonprofit. And this year, it's gotten a little bit bigger. The Marines have jumped in and said, we want to compete. So because the Navy won last year, they earned their spot to play on November 11th this year. So they're the reigning champion, is the Navy. So we had the Army and the Marines battle out in a qualifier match to see who would get to play against the Navy this year on Veterans Day. And the Army won. So we're going to have a rematch again, Army versus Navy. We're raising funds for the nonprofit Everyone for Veterans, which is a wonderful nonprofit. They support veterans with dental care assistance after they leave the military. They serve a largely underserved area because a lot of people don't know this, but only 15% of veterans receive dental benefits after they leave the military.
Wow.
And so from the VA. So this nonprofit partners with dentists around the country to provide free dental care for qualified vets. So it's a great cause. But ultimately, on this event, I think it would be really cool if we got some publicity. And someday I'd like to see a national, right, military event where you have the branches of the military competing in pool nationally for,
Great.
championships.
What a great idea that is. Fabulous. And okay, so when I first heard what you were doing, I thought, okay, this may be like a disabled for injured veterans, but is it also, or is it just you're a veteran and you're a veteran?
Yeah, we're not limiting it to that. It's for anybody who's active or retired military. And obviously we only have so many spots, so we get the interest, and then we assign captains for each branch of the military. So we have a captain for Army, a captain for Navy, so on and so forth. And then they pick their teams. We Fargo cap it so that it's fair and evenly matched teams.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, is it handicapped? Obviously it is. So you go by the Fargo system, the world famous Fargo system, of course. And what game do you actually play, and what races do you play? Is it winner breaks? What? Tell us about the actual format that you play.
Yeah, so on Chalkbox Productions, we do all different types of games and races and formats. But for the Veterans Day event, it's going to be 9-ball race to 15 teams event. So they're going to play it like sort of like you would play in league, right? Where you have 4 players on each team, and they play a match until the first team gets to 15 wins,
Hmm.
and then it's over. So they're going to be playing 9-ball, winner break. It's going to be a lot of fun. In general, on Chalkbox, we mix it up, right? We do some 9-ball, some 10-ball, some 8-ball. We've had one pocket matches. So we try to, get a lot of diversity in the games that we play and what people want to watch. And yeah.
So what is your? Oh, one more question about the format. Do you play 9 on the spot or 1 on the spot?
So we've typically done the one on the spot. Now, We might start changing that. It depends on the level of player, right? So if we have, a couple of, high 600s and a 700s player, we might want to, put the 9 on the spot just to make the break a little bit harder. But for the most part, I'd like to see packages put together. I think that'd be fun, and it's a little bit easier to put together a package in 9 ball when you've got the 1 on the spot, right?
Yeah, make that wing ball not too hard break. Control the cue ball and the one, and away you go. What is your
Right.
Fargo, by the way, just out of interest?
I'm a 575, so
So am I.
is that? Oh, good.
I-
We should match up.
I'm a 575 as well, and I've never been to Seattle. And I want to come to that room because I'm not convinced. I might get you to roll a ball on that a little bit later, on that diamond. That easel thing, is there an easel sitting on it, or is that?
Yeah, that's my self promotion. My wife had that made for me. It is made out of redwood. It's beautiful. So Chalkbox
Yeah,
Productions.
love it.
That does not stay on the table during the matches. That goes to the side. But I put that out there for promotional, specifically for this interview.
Yeah,
But
it looks great. I love it.
thank
Really,
you.
really love it. So you say you commentate as well on it. Do you enjoy commentary? Do you enjoy that part of it? Is that why you set Chalkbox up, because you like commentating?
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't really realize how much I would enjoy it, but people tell me that I'm good at it. I think it's really just because I enjoy the game so much that they can tell that I'm having fun when I'm commentating. But I do commentate mostly all the matches here on Chalkbox. Usually, I have another commentator. And I've recently launched a business with a couple of business partners. It has a new platform where we have a technology built where we can bring in commentators from other areas anywhere in the world. Maybe we'll have you come and commentate, Mark, from London.
Do you know? I was just going to say it. I would love to. I'd love to do something for the veterans tournament, but unfortunately, 11th, I am in Puerto Rico at the World Teams and the Puerto Rico Open for the men
Well,
and the
maybe you
women.
can maybe you can pull away for a few minutes and just pop in and say hello.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to if we can. I really would like to do something like that, for the veterans, come in and do one match or something. That would be kind of cool, if it fits with your schedule. I mean, I will be in the States, so we'll be on more or less the same kind of
Similar time
timeline.
zone.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would be fantastic. Would love to have you.
yeah. So pencil me in for that, and I'll be taking my laptop with me, so we can. I'm sure we can fit something in for that.
Fantastic.
Okay, great. So
But yeah, going back to your question, I do. I really enjoy the commentating aspect of the sport. I have a fairly good knowledge. I've been playing the game for my whole life. But as most of us, playing the game part-time, right? A full-time job
yeah.
and part-time player, and just getting as much practice in as I can. But um, it is what it is. I wish I could play pool full-time.
What's your full time job?
I work in sales, in software sales. Coincidentally enough, I actually work for the same company as Joey Ryan. So uh,
Ah,
we're coworkers, but in different segments of the business. So we don't really interact very much. But I know him through that and through his Pool Player podcast. So we do the same type of occupation, software sales.
and have you got children that play sports as well? I know Joey's got some kids that play football, very good at football apparently as well. Do you have children?
Not me. I have a lot of dependents, but I don't have any children.
I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. So let's go to your interest into the actual game rather than just the commentary side of it. If I was to say to you, right, come on, Patrick, I'm coming round. Let's get on that diamond, set the balls up. Let's have a race. What balls would you set up? And I'm talking about the make as well. What colour balls? If you could have any colour cloth, would there be a break box involved? Would we be allowed to use jump cues? Would we play the 3 foul rule? tell me your favourite game. Not that you'd only like to play, but also watch on TV. What would be your perfect game? Alternate break, winner breaks, the whole package.
Oh man, that's such a tough question because it really depends on my mood and who I'm playing. But I would say eight ball is my favorite game, and I like the strategy of eight ball. It's what I grew up playing, played for so many years. Shane Van Boening is one of my favorite players, and just watching him, and his patterns in eight ball, and understanding the strategy of I like the decision making aspect of eight ball. But lately I've been getting more into nine ball and rotation pool just because watching it a lot. I do appreciate the three foul rule. I like the strategy behind adding a little defensive component to when the rack is kind of tricky and tied up, to having some of the options to get somebody on a three foul. But As far as equipment goes, Diamond is my favorite table to play on. I do also enjoy going to Ox Billiards here in Seattle. There's also one of the sponsors for the Veterans Day show, Ox Billiards. They
Darren
have the
Appleton.
Ross.
Darren
Yeah,
Appleton just come there, right?
he was just here in the Northwest. Yep. And he
Did you
did
see him? He was at
excursion.
Ox Billiards, right?
Yeah, I wasn't able to make it for that. I had other plans, so I wasn't able to
Okay.
go. But I know that he was in town. Ox has done so much for the pool community in the Seattle area. They have a wonderful pool hall over there with Rossin tables and
Mm.
snooker tables, and they have Joy Chinese eight ball table.
Wow.
It's a great club. So when you come, Mark, I'm sure you'll visit Ox. But I got some time on the Rossins. I like them, but I prefer diamonds. That's my diamond is my favorite table. A diamond 9 foot diamond table with Simonis cloth. I use Aramith Pro Tournament balls, and
With a
yeah,
template, would you prefer to play with a template or triangle rack or?
I prefer template. I like the consistency. So especially, if I can play on the same equipment with the template rack, everything it gets more consistent, and the break, as you know, is so important in the game that if you can have a lot of consistency in your break, it certainly gives you a bit of an advantage.
Break box or no break box?
No, I would say no break box unless we're putting the nine on the spot, and then I would say from the break box. But I like the opportunity to put together some packages. Not that I'm going to put together any large number of packages on a 9 foot diamond, but I like the opportunity.
I had a six pack once. They
Did
were
you?
yeah, but I forget the name of it now. Blue Moon, I think it was.
I've had a few six packs. Yes.
So going to topical conversation. Big news, of course, coming out the States just recently with Fedor Gorst being named in the Mosconi Cup. Um, Mixed reactions. Corey Jewell wasn't too pleased about it. I seem to remember seeing on social media. Where do you stand on it?
I think it's great, honestly. Federer has, he's been in the U.S. since February of last year. He's working on becoming a naturalized citizen. He's a great, this is what this country is all about. Immigrants come here from other areas, especially war-torn areas, that want to make a better life for themselves. And he's embraced the American culture. And not only is he a fantastic player, but I think he's a very good ambassador for the sport. And I'm proud to see him play for Team USA. And certainly improves our odds a bit of winning Mosconi Cup this year, doesn't it?
I think it. I think it really does because it's like a double whammy. Because I'm sure if he wasn't on your team, he would have been on our team, and we already got a pretty strong enough team also. But I'm really pleased to see that Tyler Starr has been brought back in again. I think he's earned his place there. He's been going all around the world, playing some really good stuff. Had some good finishes actually. Some good ran deep in a couple of big tournaments. So I kind of like him on the team again. and the latest one, of course, Shane Walford,
Yeah.
a young and up and coming, hungry, eager, very patriotic guy. What do you think of Shane?
I think he's great. I haven't met Shane Wolford personally, but I've seen a lot of his game, and I think it's a great pick. I think there's a lot of choices, right, for that final spot in the Mosconi Cup, sort of that wild card pick. And I think Shane Wolford has really had a great year, and he worked hard, and I think he's earned and deserves a spot on the team to really see what he's got this year. And on Tyler Steyer, I think that's for me one of the automatics. He's been playing so well as well, and so committed to putting in the work and the time and doing everything it takes to win. So I'm excited to see, both those guys jump in with Shane and Sky and Federer. I think it's going to be a really fantastic Mosconi Cup this year.
Yeah, and I kind of get the thinking that if it was in Vegas this year, I think you'd run away with it. I think the only thing you might come up against is the Ali Pali crowd. It's going to be bigger than ever. I think it's going to be over 3,000 spectators. Fedor Gorst has never played in that atmosphere because the one time he did play it, it was behind closed doors, of course. Shane Wolford has never played in the Mosconi at all before. So I think he's got all the ingredients to be a very, very close. And I really do hope it's close because it's no fun like 11-3, 11-5. I want to see an 11-10, or 11-9 or something like that. And of course, I'm patriotic towards Europe, but at the end of the day, I'm sure, like yourself, you want to see some great pool, right?
Yeah, it's good for the sport. It really is. It's this sport's biggest stage, and it's going to be interesting to see how Shane Wolford, plays under that pressure. And people talk about Federer, not being under that type of environment before, because when he was in the Mosconi Cup for Europe, it was during the COVID shutdowns and there was no crowd there, so it's a very different environment. But honestly, that kid plays so incredibly well, and he puts so much practice into everything he does. We call him the robot, right? I honestly don't think that the crowd is going to be an issue for Federer. But we don't know about Shane Wolford and how he's going to perform. But I think honestly, my prediction is USA 11, Europe 8.
I remember that. It's on. It's going to be on record now, so we'll have to
That's
have a
right.
meet up afterwards and see. I'm going to go. I'm going to go 11-9 Europe.
Okay.
We're both sort of on the same page, just for different continents, so to speak. Look, I just want to go for a quick commercial break, and if you don't mind, we'll continue this in part two. So don't go away, guys. We're going to be back with part two after a quick word from our sponsors. See you soon. Hi guys, welcome back to part two, and I'm here with Patrick Nix from Chalk Box Productions, and we've been talking about lots of great stuff. If you're a pool fanatic, then well, this will be right up your street. Now then, a big part, Patrick, is how are we going to grow this sport? Obviously, you're a streamer. How important is that, do you think, in furthering the sport? Free streams as well.
I think it's huge, Mark. I think that, like any sport or anything in today's world, if technology is not involved, it doesn't grow. And live streaming is a great technology to share the sport to people all over the world, and for people to share their passion with their friends and family. And it's changing. I think COVID has really kind of changed that about our sport. We didn't used to see a whole lot of, private live streams. We only saw really the pro matches, right, that were on YouTube. But after that, after COVID, we started seeing a lot more of these smaller live streams like mine. And I think it's grown the sport tremendously. And I think that when you look at pool halls in general across the world, pool has, typically had a bad reputation of being this back alley, smoky, sort of under the table kind of sport that people just played to gamble money. And the live streaming has really changed people's perspective of that, because it's now in clean, non-smoking environments, nice equipment, good commentating. It's professionalized the sport in a way that nothing else could have done as quickly. And so using that technology to really, and we've seen a huge resurgence here in the Pacific Northwest. I'd like to think that I was part of that. That we've seen a growth of the sport. We're seeing a lot of young people get involved in the sport. And I think it's just great overall. But technology has to play a huge factor in that, and it's only going to continue.
Yeah, and a big part of growing a sport, of course, is nurturing young talent that comes through. And we really need to, well, not just continue to do it, but to improve on doing it as well. I know the United States now are realizing this. They're coming to terms with the fact, you need to create these juniors somehow, and you've got some really good ones at the moment, particularly in the women's game. Players like Sophia Marstend, who's just finished runner-up, of course, in Austria in the World Girls Championships, losing out to Hong, who held on to her title, but done terrifically well to get there. And it seems to me whenever Americans are at a tournament, they're always wearing their American shirts. They're always very proud to represent their country. Little Savannah Easton was there also. We had Joey Tate in the men's. We had his sister Bethany Tate and little Noelle Tate. I don't know whether you've seen her play. What a talent she is. I mean, I was speaking to their father who travelled with them, obviously, and that man's got 12 kids, and most of them play pool as well. I told him he should have played more pool when he was younger. But jokes aside, and Payne McBride was there, a young lad, Vaughan. Actually, you had two guys, Garrett and another one who I can't remember. He went the furthest, actually, the one that I can't remember. Another Vaughan came third, I believe, in the under 17s. And Adrian Prasad, of course, got to the final of that also. So my point is, yes, that's great, but how are we growing? And, maybe they saw a stream somewhere, during COVID, because they're kind of around that kind of age, particularly the young girls. But we need federations. Now, I know you don't have this. You have a federal now. You just need a nation, right? So maybe he could start something. Wouldn't it be great if Fedor could start his own federation, to encourage the youth of children in the States?
Yeah. I mean, we've got the BEF that is, getting involved in the schools and education system to promote the sport. The JIC has been doing a fantastic job of promoting youth in the game. And obviously, to see the sport grow, we have to have more youth getting involved in the sport, because otherwise it dies out, right? If you don't have young people involved and you're not growing it in the youth sector, the sport doesn't grow. And they're on social media, right? That's just the nature of the game. And you're right, it may have started for them. Maybe they watched a match, or they saw one of their friends get on a live stream or something and thought, I would want to do that. And, if we can just encourage, a couple of people through, the technology, and it grows from there, it's a win.
Yeah, you're in sales, aren't you? So it's one person knows 10, those 10 people know 10. And all of a sudden, before you know it, you've got hundreds of thousands of people now looking in and wanting to try out a new sport. The trouble is, there's so many great sports in America that you can play, like tennis and golf and basketball, football. so many great sports uh, to play there. Actually, you mentioned BEF. I was actually fortunate enough to interview Sam Dieppe in Austria. So there's an interview with her on the WPA website. If not now, it's coming out very, very soon. I also interviewed the EPBF, the European Pocket Billiards Federation. We all know what the Europeans are doing for players. Like now, you look at the Polish players, for example, there's just loads of them. There's 10 that could win a tournament, for example.
Yeah.
And they're getting lots of government help. And that is my point. We need to try and grow it. And I truly believe that people like you and, to a certain extent, people like myself and people like Predator and the WPA who are putting on free streams. We've just seen Shane Van Boning win the 8-ball. Now, that tells you something, right? He announced after his win that 8-ball is his favourite game. It always has been. And he was just so delighted to win a world title at that. Now, to win a world title is very special. I mean, everyone growing up, the first thing you think of is either I want to win an Olympic gold or I want to win a world championship.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
How is the sport going to grow? It's not a loaded question. I'm sure you have your own opinion, which is why I'm asking you. What do you think about this WPA Matchroom divide at the moment where, the WPA are saying if you don't play sanctioned events by March, or after Vegas tournament, let's say after the World 10 Ball, you're going to be banned for 6 months, you're going to pay a fine. I personally don't think it's going to get to that. But when you've got the WPA and Predator working together, they've just put on this big tournament now for women. 100,000 guaranteed, top 16 women. Everyone will win some money, a minimum, I think it's 2,300, I think it is, 30,000 to the winner and down, but you're guaranteed to win at least over $2,000. It's free entry. There's no entry fee either. It's for women. Mm-hmm. Now, Matchroom are only interested, and they've said it themselves, and if they want to only concentrate on 9-ball, that's entirely up to them. Where do people go that want to play 8-ball? Where do people want to go? Women, juniors. What's your take on it?
Well, honestly, my take is it's unfortunate. It's an unfortunate situation that the two entities can't work together because they're both doing amazing things to grow the sport, right? And obviously, professional sports needs a federation. They need consistency and moderation, and but they also need promotion and pizzazz, which is what Matchroom produces, right? Nobody does a better job than Matchroom at promotion and really making it like a big event. And
Great.
So you need both, and the fact that they're battling over territory, it seems like, and fighting for the players, it's unfortunate for the sport, and I really hope that they can come together because together that there amazing things can happen. We need more youth in the sport, we need more women players, and the WPA is putting on those events and giving them an opportunity to earn a lot of money as a professional player. Consider, comparably to other pool events, not comparable to other sports yet, of course, but I just wish that the two sides could really come together and find a common ground to work truly towards growing the sport.
Yeah, I totally agree with that 100%. We're both for the growth of the sport. The unfortunate thing, you're totally right in what you say about Matchroom. They are a fantastic production company. They're great promoters, but that's all they are. They're not. Yeah. They're not about growing the sport. They're about growing their events, growing their bank balance. They are not about growing the sport as a whole, and they've shown that by not wanting to play or to show any other sport discipline of pool rather other than nine ball. They are not interested in women in the women's game. They're not really interested in the junior side of it because they put on a token junior alongside some of their events now, which of course is great. I'm not knocking it for that. Any growth is great. But a sport has to be available to the masses. We need to be able to stumble across it like many people did during COVID on all these free streams, these like the great work you're doing, the work that I used to do on the free streams. People need to stumble across it. And when you're being forced into buying another TV package on top of what you've already got, and not a very reliable one as well, I've been told, and I've heard, such as DAZN in the States.
Yeah. Mark, I think that, what Matchroom is doing is good for the sport. I really do. I believe that both of them are good for the sport in their own ways. I don't think that there's anything wrong with being a profitable business and
No.
having a product that is extremely consumable, right? That can produce sales and get big advertisers, because advertisers is what's really going to drive this thing, and mainstream advertisers. And so what Matchroom is doing is they're putting on a very high quality production. And I think that, although, like you said, their goal is profit because they are a for-profit business, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
The byproduct is, if they put out a great product that people really love, it will grow the sport. It will help grow the sport and get people involved in it. And so I see, both sides as having very positive assets that can help the sport.
I personally don't think it will get to the stage where they have to ban any players. I'm sure there's a motion on the table. I don't know whether you saw Ishan Singh, the president of the WPA, last night on he was on Dogging It, I believe, with Mike Panozzo and Melina Mike. And he said he's held out an olive branch to to Matchroom and has told them that, sanction your events with the WPA. We don't even want any much sanction fee for it, but they cannot outright own nine ball and the ranking system solely for nine ball. And that seems to be the sticking point: arranging events over others and sanctioning events with the WPA. They've even waived the fee for the sanction fee for that. So I don't now see what the sticking point is.
I think you're right, Mark. I don't think it will come to penalties and that. And I certainly hope not, because the last thing that we want to do is to hinder our professional players from making a good living, and
Absolutely.
They need both. They need both, right? We don't want them to be limited to only being able to play in certain events when the income that they're able to achieve is already extremely limited compared to other professional sports. So this battle is only going to hurt the players and only going to hurt the fans. It needs to come to an agreement. They need to come to a middle ground.
Paul, will it be an Olympic sport one day?
I hope so.
There's a big push for it now. It's on cue for 32. It's going to be in Australia if it happens. I mean, I've had some talks with certain people, and they're pretty confident that they can get it in to the Olympics in 2032. A big part of that, of course, is if the federations have to be involved, and if the federations aren't in sync with Matchroom, then it's all going to go down the pan once again for the Olympics. If you were offered a gold medal or a world title or a US Open, which would you choose?
Oh, a gold medal, no doubt about it. I mean, there's nothing higher than this the prize of winning a gold medal for your country in an Olympics. event. And to see pool in the Olympics, just giving me goosebumps just thinking about it. It would be fantastic for the sport, and entertaining to watch. I mean, uh, isn't cornhole an Olympic game now? I've
I
heard that it
think
was.
I
I'm like,
think so.
well, how does cornhole make it and pool doesn't? I mean, you're throwing a beanbag into a hole. Not to knock any of the cornhole fans out there. I'm sure it's a great game, but when you consider the difficulty level and the complexity of that sport versus our sport, it's not even. There's no comparison. So
Is
yeah,
it
there. It's time.
is it even that exciting to watch cornhole?
I'm not a cornhole player. I don't really. We used to, as kids, we used to call it beanbag toss. So somewhere along the lines, it changed to cornhole and became a huge deal. And I even
Somebody just put a
seen it
hole in
on,
a bit of wood.
yeah, and it's on ESPN. I'm watching on ESPN. I'm like, how come I can't see pool on ESPN, but I'm watching people throw beanbags into a hole? Yeah, yeah.
There's also discussion about there being a world championship Scotch doubles
Hmm.
open, not countries, just an open where any player can play with anyone. Male can play with female. Two females can play. Two males can play. Any permutation of that. Um,
Well, the World Cup is already that way, right? The World Cup
yeah,
of pool
yeah.
is Scotch doubles.
Yeah, World Cup of Pool is Scotch doubles, but it's a countrified thing. So you're both partners are from the same country, and it's always
Right?
men together. It's not. It's not. Well, we have had a women's team actually, haven't we? We had Great Britain B, where we had Kelly Fisher and Ali Fisher,
Yeah,
I believe.
I don't know that it's limited to men. I just think that there's more men in the sport, but I could be wrong about that.
Yeah. It's not limited because Kelly and Alison have played in it before for team, but I'm guessing there's only, I think it's 16 teams in it. But I'm talking about a big open one where anyone can enter from any pro can enter from any country and play with whoever they want. I was going to ask you who would be if you were say a manager of a Scotch doubles team, who would you pick as the best Scotch doubles team in the world?
Oh, wow. The best in the world, two players to play with each other. Oh, that's a tough question. I'd have to consider the chemistry between the two players because Scotch doubles has a lot to do with chemistry. It's not just the two best skilled players,
Uh,
it's who is actually good for each other. Um, I think I would like to see uh hmm, boy, you really put me on the spot, Mark.
Let me
How
leave that.
about
Go on.
how about Alex Pagulayan, because he's one of my favorite players of all times. He's just such a good player,
Yeah,
and good guy all the way around.
yeah.
And I'm going to go because I'm an American. I'm going to go Shane Van Boning.
Alex and
Al-
Alex and
yeah,
Shane.
I think that would be fun to watch. I think that they would have a good time. I think it would be enjoyable for them and enjoyable for us to watch.
And of course, coming up next, I'm on my way to Puerto Rico on the 5th of November, starting on the 7th. We have the World Teams again, a big prize money on offer, 120,000 first prize. It's 3 or 4 player teams. It's up to them. Reigning champions are the Philippines from Austria last year. It was Biardo, Armit, and Chua. There's no Chua this year. It's going to be Roland Garcia, Carlo Biardo, Ruben Armit, but they're also bringing Cesca Centino, who's just been crowned the World 10 Ball Women's Champion, of course, last week in Austria. So that's quite a formidable team. But you yourselves have got a great team in it, America. You've got Shane Van Boning, Tyler Steyer, and April Larson.
Yeah, that's going to be fun to watch. I'm jealous. I want to fly to Puerto Rico and be there for that as well. But unfortunately, I have other plans like a regular job. But it would be great. That sounds like a fun opportunity for you as well as a commentator be able to commentate those matches.
Yeah, it really is a very interesting format. It's where the men's play a single, the women's play a single, then there's a Scotch doubles, then there's another male singles or female singles, and it's captain's pick. So it's kind of a mix of it's the 2 races to 4, but it's best of 5 sets now rather than 3.
Mm-hmm.
With the mix of Germany have got a great team as well. Pia and Joshua Filler and Moritz Neuhausen they're bringing in. And don't forget, of course, Austria.
Fantastic.
Mario He, Albin
Mm-hmm.
Ocean, and Jasmine Ocean. I mean, there's some real tasty teams amongst all those. So I hope you'll be watching. It's all free to watch, of course. So what a shame you can't be there. You could come and jump in the booth with me for a match or two.
I'll be watching. You might see me I'll pop in the chat room. But speaking of teams and Scotch doubles, I think that's the greatest thing about pool is, although we consider it an individual contributor sport where, it's, when you're at the table, it's just you, right? But playing teams and doubles in this sport is, it just adds so much more excitement and fun to the game, because you're just playing for something besides yourself. And so many players that I know, they say they play so much better when they're as part of a team as they do singles, right? Than they do in singles, just because you're playing for something besides just yourself.
Yeah, and it's how we start in the game, really, isn't it? We all start out playing for a team. I can remember being 13, 14 and playing with the bigger boys. Wasn't really allowed to play because I wasn't old enough, because it was in places where there was alcohol served and that kind of thing, of course. But we all grow up in the team environment. And that's another point, really, of the growth of the sport, is what I was talking about before as well, because it is all about the leagues, and it is more than 9 ball. It's more about 8 ball when you start out, and it's the game we all start on. What's your best game, by the way?
So my best game right now, I'd say, is 9 ball, just because I've been playing it so much lately. But my favorite game and my first game is 8 ball. But I think that really depends on where you're growing up and what era you're growing up in. For me back then, that's all we played. Back in the day, I won't say how many years ago it was. For you, it was probably snooker, right, as your first cue sports game.
Yeah.
And so
1969.
Okay, so you're willing to submit your year. I'll leave that separate. That was the first year that you started playing pool?
Well, it was the first time I ever saw snooker played on black and white TV. And then for that Christmas, my father bought me a little 6x3 thing that goes on top of the dinner table, and the balls don't roll true and they're tiny little balls, but it was great fun. And it was the start of my love for the game. And here I am 54 years later, still absolutely loving it.
Yeah. It's addicting, isn't it?
It is very, very addictive. So look, we've covered many, many subjects, and I hope it hasn't been too painful for you. I wanted to ask you, what equipment do you use? What do you play with? What cue, break cue, jump cue, tip, chalk? Give us the whole works.
Okay, so I play with a Schoen limited cue. I use a Revo shaft, and my break cue is Predator BK Rush, and then I also have a Predator jump cue as well. Chalk, I like Town, just because it doesn't leave any residue on the cue ball. I get less skids when I use Town chalk. Let's see what else. That's pretty much it for my equipment.
On a diamond table with Aramith balls, and it's Aramith's 100th anniversary this year, so they're doing something right, obviously.
Yeah, they've been around. They're definitely a leader and a staple as far as the quality goes for pool balls.
Yeah, I mean, for snooker balls, for carom balls, they do the whole lot, don't they? I mean, they pyramid. Have you ever played pyramid?
I haven't, no.
That's an interesting game.
It's a Russian game, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's where Fedor started in that.
yeah. I know a little bit about it, but I've never played it.
Yeah, super, super tough game. So I see you got some earphones on there, some earbud
Yeah.
pods. Do you ever wear them when you practice on play and that kind of stuff?
I might wear them sometimes when I'm practicing, but no, I prefer to not use headphones when I'm playing pool. I like to hear the action of the sport. I need to hear what's going on the table, the balls, how I'm hitting the ball. It gives me immediate feedback. I like to hear, the action in the room around me. That's just for me part of the sport. Gets me dialed into what I'm doing and focused on what I'm doing. For some people, I think it helps, to block out the background noise. But for me, I like it. I like the noise of the pool hall and the sound of the balls.
Yeah, I had an interesting conversation recently with a guy who was telling me about no matter what we do, whether it's eating, whether it's running, playing football, whatever, we're using all our senses at once. And if you
Yep.
block out one of those senses, then you're not getting your full capacity of
Mhm.
uh, performance. I'm
Yeah.
guessing. I don't know. I'm no doctor, but I'm guessing that's the case. And of course, there's also the fact of if you practice with earpods and all of a sudden you go into a tournament situation where you're not allowed to use them, then all that practice in that kind of environment goes to waste, kind of thing. I
Yep.
thought. Anyway, look, we're coming to the end of a very, very well. It's fascinating talking to you, and it's lovely to see that you've come from the same background, even the same person as me, probably. Mike DeMarco at Ship the Cash certainly done me a lot of favors, and he got you on the way as well. Just tell people what you've got coming up, where they can watch it, where they can follow you on your social medias, and how they can get in contact with you.
Right. So our next matchup that's coming up is the big event for Veterans Day on November 11th. You can join the Chalkbox Productions on Facebook page or the YouTube channel, Chalkbox Productions, right there behind you, Mark. I also like to give a special shout out to the sponsors that have committed to sponsoring for the Veterans Day event. Ox Billiards, great pool hall in the Seattle area. Jam Up Apparel, Damian Pongpanic has generously, yes, got my Jam Up on. He has generously donated team jerseys for Team Army and Team Navy. They're going to have custom Jam Up jerseys that
Wow.
he has committed to donating to this. Moonlighting Billiards, thank you to Sandra and Jim out there in the Northeast that is sponsoring this event as well. They produce a great product called the Drill Partner.
Yes.
Salado is, Colby and Reed, the founders of
Read, yeah.
Salado, have been sponsoring my live stream for the last 2 years. They're fantastic, and it's a great app to get matches in and track them to Fargo rate. Also, a company that I'm developing, Evo Sports, which is a technology that's going to expand live streaming to bars and pool halls that's player run through a tablet, and players keep score and be able to
Wow.
get remote commentary to come into pool matches. So we're just trying to revolutionize the sport by adding more technology. That's Evo Sports. And then poolballart.com, which is Matt Necrato from SPM. He's sponsored the event as well by donating some great artwork. So we're hoping to get more sponsors. I have room for more sponsors. We're 100% of the revenue that's generated from the Veterans Day event will be donated to Everyone for Veterans nonprofit, which is a fantastic organization. So if there's any companies that are out there listening to this that are pool related companies, we would love to get donations of either money that we can use to get product in the raffle or product cues, equipment, apparel, anything like that. We'd love to have you on. Reach out to me if you're interested in sponsoring the Chalkbox Productions Veterans Day event.
Yeah, I'll definitely put you in contact with my good friends at Town. I mean, I'm sure we can get something from them for you to raffle off, some tips and chalk and gloves. And they're just about to bring out their own new template rack It's called the Max Rack. It's very, very thin, but very durable as well. So they've been working on that for some time. So I'll have a word with them, and it goes so well, doesn't it, with Chalkbox? I mean, come on, Town need
Yeah,
to be a part. Town need to be a part. Right?
absolutely. And I already plugged Town by saying that's my chalk of choice because I don't get any skids when I use Town chalk. So there we go.
Well, let's see if we can get you some product as well for your raffle. It's been great talking to you. Thank you so much for your time, and good luck with the event. And I mean what I said. If I can squeeze in a match or a few racks or whatever while I'm in Puerto Rico, I'll have my laptop with me and my microphone will be with me. And patch me in remotely, and it would be an honour to be part of your great Veterans Day event.
We're looking forward to it. I hope you can. And thanks so much for spending the time to talk with me and giving a little bit of a spotlight to what we're doing here in the Pacific Northwest and helping to grow the pool community overall and, make something special happen. So thank you, Mark.
Thank you too. It's been a pleasure.
All right.
Patrick Nix. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.